Ginny, I'm no tourism expert, so I can't say what draws most people to visit California. The beach perhaps, or maybe Hollywood. Maybe the redwood forest. I can, however, confidently assume that most people don't fly across the country to attend their own mother's estate sale. The mother they hadn't seen, or spoken to, in 14 years, walking around in the gorgeous home she spent presumably the last 14 years in was interesting, to say the least. It was hard to recognize what used to be my mother. Besides how extremely neat everything was kept inside. That was definitely her. It seemed she tried to bring the outdoors in with her decor. So many natural elements, and all of the furniture was made of what looked like high-end reclaimed wood. As I walked into the sunroom, I found Ginny. How much for the plant? I wondered. Oh, that? Gee, we didn't even think to put a tag on it. How's $5? Ginny, as Mom had called her, was a ficus ginseng. A unique bonsai Mom had admired. I remember her first appearance on Mom's YouTube channel. Mom raved about how she discovered this one-of-a-kind beauty at her local plant market, describing her admiration in detail as she tended to her. Watching Mom's channel had become a guilty pleasure of mine. I never liked, commented or subscribed. I just watched from afar as Mom tended to a plant in more ways than she ever did to me. Sit up straight, Marissa, wear your hair in a ponytail, Marissa, you're prettier that way. Don't eat that candy, Marissa. No one likes a girl who's plump. No matter what I did, I was just never enough. I never told Dad that I watched her channel. I knew he'd be too upset. He was still heartbroken about the random day 14 years ago that she loudly announced, "I'm done," before picking up her things and hightailing out to California to become a newly proclaimed lesbian and botanist. I stayed living with Dad, tending to him, too worried to let him live alone. In my early 20s I attempted to date, which was comical to say the least. Anytime a man showed interest in me, I cowered. There will be a catch, my mind would say. I was extremely uncomfortable with any sign of physical affection and found it easier to just avoid it. I eventually gave up, diving my time and attention into my academic studies and career. Meanwhile, through her love of these odd plants like Ginny, Mom really made a name for herself on YouTube and grew to an impressive number of subscribers. She was even featured on local television. Which is how I heard about her when a friend texted me one day about 5 years ago. "Hey, isn't this your mom?" she asked with a screenshot attached. Yes, it is. Or it was. I wasn't even sure how to respond. Further investigation led me to Mom's YouTube channel, which already had almost 1 million subscribers. Whoa. On the channel she talked about her love of plants and how to tend to them carefully to allow them to thrive. The first video I almost turned off after 30 seconds. It was just too painful. But yet, I kept watching. That was the thing about Mom. She had this magnetic personality that really drew you in. You wanted to be on her good side, and craved that positive attention from her that seemed so impossible to receive. I felt familiar feelings of rejection and yet yearning for her affection as I watched. I became envious of plants. In future videos I learned that she had been living in California, had become a professional botanist, or so she says, and had been radiantly happy with her soulmate, Carol. Carol was never on the screen, but whenever Mom brought up her name, she beamed. I found it vile. Who the hell is Carol? Does she even know I exist? Due to Mom's popularity, her unexpected death also made the local news, which is how I found out about it. Someone on her social media account, I'm assuming Carol, posted an ad for an estate sale quickly after. Estate sale featuring one-of-a-kind, unique collectibles from world-famous botanist, Lillian DeRay. Disgusting. Upon seeing the ad, I was a bit in shock, so I called my therapist. I hired her after finding the first video and realizing my life couldn't successfully continue with the breakdowns that occurred afterward. That's interesting, she responded. If you decide to go, it may help you feel like you have tied up some loose ends, or gained some closure with your mother. I knew at that moment I needed to go. I told Dad I was taking a business trip and would be back within 3 days. I was back in 2. I didn't plan on leaving with anything. But Ginny, amidst all of Mom's plants, always intrigued me the most. There was my mother on YouTube, a woman who could never bring herself to pay me a compliment, publicly worshipping this strange plant that, to me, looked like a butt. When I brought Ginny home, it felt in some strange way that Mom was back. Even better, she couldn't leave. I sat there in a trance just staring at her, processing everything over the past.
Believe, I shoved those around me aside so I could run away from everything. I escaped to the outskirts of the festival. I sat on a long, dirty bench, trying to gather my own thoughts and feelings. I cried. What have I done to deserve all this? I stared back to the celebration, but only scowled. What are they thinking? I drowned myself in sorrow. I hate everything. Life is just so f***ing cruel. I shed tears, but stopped when a voice had called out to me in the dark. Creepy. But somewhat familiar. You are too young to be alone in this time of hour, you know? A deep comforting voice echoed from the distance. I don't care, danger is always imminent these days, so? I don't give a f**k about what life does to me anymore. The man inched closer and placed his hand on my shoulder. I felt comforted somehow. A stranger? Maybe yes, maybe no. Let's enjoy the festival. I'm in the middle of breaking down right now. That somehow felt fake words coming out of my mouth just now. Let not your emotions take over you. Fret not to what is lost, as you still have those around you. Then why do they have to leave? Why did they have to pass on to the next world when they could have stayed here? It's life, and has always been a part of it. We have to move on. Who is he to tell me that? I'm in pain right now. Yet he still chose the right words for me to comprehend. I stared at the joy going on around me. The cheers and laughter, they helped me somehow. I stood up and joined him as we moved to the festival. I glanced over the food stands and heard my stomach growl. Do you have money? Teased the man. I'm number 10-year-old, you know? He laughed. No worries. I can buy some for us. I hissed again, but smiled even so. He bought me hot dogs. Extra dressing the way I liked it. I looked at the man. I can't make out his face. But he felt familiar. I have money, you know. Think of this as a treat to help you out. Nothing compares to my grief. Let it flow, then let it go. You can't stay sad forever. He passed me my food. I smiled, still feeling down. Let's eat. Thanks. I felt anxious as I looked around. Fear is welling up in me, but my own selfishness took the best of me. As I cleaned my face, the man had asked me, "Are you alone?" No. I'm just exploring the area without my parents. Why did you run off from your parents? They were cheering me up. Desperately trying, then at least accept their efforts. You don't know anything. Well, at least believe. Believe what? Believe in faith. Have hope. I could make out a faint smile from his face, while I thought about denying him. He is pushy. I just accepted those words. Believe? There ain't no such thing as miracle. I think I'm done with hope, but what other choice do I have? Ah, that's right, denial. Yet his words still strung chords within me. Like those words he left me before he joined the sky. Do you want to check out the games? He offered. Sure, I guess. I'd gone for my favorite game at festivals. The goldfish toss one. It was sentimental to me, so I didn't hesitate to relive some memories. My grandpa would always take me out on festivals whenever there was one. And of course, this was his favorite game. I laughed as he got mad, thinking it was rigged. But that is nothing more than a mere memory. I didn't do too bad, I guess. Still didn't get one though. So is the man I'm with. His style was just like mine. I never caught your name, old man. Emmanuel. You? The same name as my grandpa had, but I'm no kid anymore. To think there is such thing as doubles. Carlos, you want to find your parents now? I don't know. He smiled, and offered me to join him in stargazing. Beneath the night sky, I was mesmerized by the amount of stars there is. It shone bright that I felt as if it pierced my soul. You know, Carlos. They say that a family member is one of those stars. I hope that's true. Believe is all you have to do. Don't lose hope. Then I looked back at him, and could see his face now. My eyes watered. My mouth is shifting to a smile. I should be going now. So should you. He waved goodbye, and walked towards the busy crowd. I ran as fast as I could, my eyes could hardly focus by the amount of tears I'm pouring out. But as I retraced his footsteps, he was already gone. In the distance, I saw my parents waving at me, smiling while crying at the same time. Carlos. My mom cried out, "Hey mom." "Hey dad." My mom shoved me a bit, but hugged me afterwards. "Don't do that ever again, alright?" "Yes mom, you could have endangered yourself, you know." "I know dad. I just felt so isolated and confused a while ago. But I feel better now." He patted my back, my mom held my arm and walked to the open space to watch the fireworks. I feel exhausted, but still let out some more tears. My parents were confused, but I only smiled at them, and they did the same.